Hello, my name is Rachel. I go by Tuna online. Art by Tuna is my brand and handle. I am an illustrator and comic maker, and I've been working as an illustrator for about 14 years and full-time doing that for 10. Right now, I'm currently making merchandise that I sell online, mostly via a subscription club on Patreon, and as well at in-person events across Canada, markets, conventions, stuff like that. I also do made-to-order paintings and illustrations, and those two aspects make up the bulk of my business. I have also published 3 graphic novels previously, multiple short comics, and currently making videos over on YouTube bi-weekly, which is a relatively new venture, but I've been really enjoying being a part of it. So it's been a lot of like trial and error, a lot of experimentation to get to where I am now. It was around 2015 that I started the content creator sort of journey, and it was started with just a 30-day art challenge, 30 days of posting. But I was already working full time. It was right around the time that I started working full time as an artist. I was doing work in a studio with freelance on the side, and I had more time now to dedicate to art in general. So it was around 2015 that I started posting more, and during the heyday of Instagram in 2018, that has always been my main platform. And back then, it was daily posting that was very, very heavily incentivized and rewarded. So that was what I did. In order to start building something intentionally, I would make an illustration at the end of the day, every single day, between 30 minutes to like 2 hours of work, be ready to post the next day without fail. And that was where I started building. And I had a Twitter at the time as well. And one of the other platforms that I took advantage of earlier on in my content creator journey was Twitch. I did a lot of streaming on Twitch, and it was a big awakening to me to discover how I could build a brand that integrated myself into the brand rather than my brand just being about my art. It became about my art and who I am as an artist. And that was something I realized was very beneficial to building a deeper connection with my fans. So it all started from there and has continued until now. I think it was a little bit of both. I'm naturally a pretty like outgoing person. All of the jobs that I've had in my life have always been customer interacting, so I've always kind of had that skill built up from those previous jobs. And when I was starting my journey, like again, 2015, this is a long time ago, I used to listen to business podcasts and entrepreneurship podcasts, and they would talk about like building a brand and like the different ways that you can do that. And so I was absorbing a lot of information without having like the accrued hours to really understand what they were saying, but it gave me the concept of what I think was called or might still be called a personal brand, which is one that involves the creator in the branding itself. Yes, people seemed to enjoy my hijinks and my personality, so I just leaned into it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that that's a good question, and it also reflects kind of my philosophy towards making art in general, is that inspiration is fleeting, motivation is temporary, and so what you really want to do is build up habits to kind of automatically do the behavior. So like with drawing, if you're trying to learn how to draw, the best thing you can do is sit down and say at the end of the day, I'm going to draw for 30 minutes every day. It's the same thing with posting. And I've been posting in my Instagram stories, my day-to-day life, like almost the entire time that I've been online. There's an archive existing of probably about a decade of my life. And so at this point, it's totally second nature. But in that, I think I have recently been pulling away just a little bit. It's been a lot of sharing for a lot of my life. And while having that daily posting is a great way to stay engaged and stay in touch with people, especially when maybe I'm not able to actually share like finished pieces of art as frequently as I may have been able to in the past. Showing up 3 days out of the week is just as good as showing up 5 days out of the week. So if I or 7 days out of the week. So if I want to take 4 days where I'm not posting anything, I don't like I give myself the grace to do that, and that's kind of like how I define my boundaries with my sharing. And I always try and keep it positive. So even when I am kind of struggling, which I think is like an important side of being self-employed, like being a human being in the world that we live in, having that vulnerability is good, but I never want anything that I do to be like a downer. So I make sure that if I am in a bad place or like I need to take that day off, I allow myself to do so. That's something that I've always struggled with as a self-employed person is to have those rituals and to keep things really consistent over time. The only thing consistent in my life is lists. I write so many lists in order to stay on top of all of the tasks that I have to do. But otherwise, I do enjoy the flexibility that being self-employed allows me. So I lean into that maybe a little bit too heavily sometimes. But I would say that not really. There's nothing particularly routine about my life. It's certainly not necessary, but I feel like, in all honesty, it's a lot easier than selling online. I've been in this space for a while now. I've watched trends come and go. I've watched platforms come and go. We're kind of at a weird point online right now. I think a lot of social media platforms are people are moving from one to the other. No one's really sure where we're supposed to be at the moment. And it's the same with e-commerce websites that's constantly changing. And a lot of people are selling online, especially post COVID, because they reestablish in their life what's valuable to them and they want to pursue their small business. And it means that the volume of people selling online is really, really high. And in order to catch people's attention, it's a lot harder than it may have been when I first started. So pivoting for me to in-person events wasn't something I intended to do, but for many years back since 2015 I have been doing these, and it was after COVID that I decided to start doing them more. And I noticed that getting in front of people with my little booth, and then again, part of me having a lot of customer service experience and already integrating who I am into my brand so people can connect with me, it all just kind of made a lot of sense. And when it comes to finances, I don't do a lot of business really in having an online shop anymore. I mostly focus on my subscription service, um, the commissions, and then the in-person sales. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's about 15% commission work, and then the remaining 85% is 50-50 for online sales and in-person sales. But that is also because I attend tons and tons of these events as well, which I feel grateful for because sometimes getting into those is not up to you. So as long as will continue to be accepted into these events, they're worthwhile 100% for me to be there, but they're not necessary. They are great. It depends on how you want to run your business. And if you like standing in a room full of people for 10 hours a day, up to 4 days in a row, because that's a lot for some people for sure. As much planning as I can do. Like I said, I have tons of lists going at all times, and the only way that I can stay on top of everything, and I just find a system that clicks. Whatever works for you to plan your life is the right way to do it, right?